So, in my last video I talked about my honest initial views on the new DLC for Sonic Frontiers, The Final Horizon. And it's fair to say that some of you did not like the video and what I had to say, and I can understand why. It's difficult to hear your favorite game being under what seems to be an attack. Heck, I used to be the same when Sonic Heroes gets undeserved hate. So from that point of view, I can see why it did not sit well with some of you, and I apologize for that. So in this video, I want to address some of the biggest complaints that I got to finer detail and give some more positives to this game. Don't get me wrong, I still have the same views, but I'm going to try and give said views in a more manageable lump to digest. So let's start with the biggest criticism I received, and that is the skill issue on my end. So while I do agree that if I do get good, I would improve, because, yo, that's how math works. However, I can definitely say that I know other content creators and friends with a far higher skill ceiling than me struggled so bad with the trials and bosses, so in that regard, I have no choice but to dismiss those claims. I'm sorry, I'm not a gaming god. The next issue was when I was talking about my experience in the platforming, and so many of you missed the mark here. I was trying to say that I put the game on easy mode after struggling for many hours on hard mode. Some of you were implying that I was complaining about the difficulty while it was being in the easy mode, and that is just not true and misleading. And when I said I was struggling in easy mode, I was specifically talking about the trials that had not been affected by the difficulty change. However, in some cases, the game does offer a lower difficulty setting in the trials, but for some reason, not many people got this option despite playing for many hours. So while I will put this down to a misunderstanding on the viewer's part, I will take responsibility for not being clear enough. Now let's talk about the bosses and trials. A couple of you have gone as far as to claim that you guys did all the trials and all the boss rushes and the final boss first and second try. And I'm sorry, but after seeing so many hours of content, both on Twitter and YouTube, both from seasoned content creators of many years, and average Sonic fans who are very passionate about this series, sharing their stuff online, I'm gonna have to give this a big ol' cap. And if in the unbelievable circumstance you did do all this first time, that is down to you being a gaming god rather than me being bad at the video game. It's okay, little bro, not everybody's as good as you. As for how I handled the review, I did a poll on my community post, and a lot of you pointed out that I was too negative, and perhaps you guys are right. So let me get a few things straight. The final boss was really fun and epic despite the issues I mentioned before, and I absolutely loved the new form, aka Super Sonic 2, and the blue Super Sonic form thing that happened at the end. I don't really know what it's called. Cyber Sonic, I guess? The ending was very wholesome and the music was insane. They cooked with it. The gameplay in general was very fun, we're not talking about climbing the towers, but everything else was fine. I absolutely loved playing as Knuckles as Amy despite a couple of issues here and there with the platforming. It brought back so many memories to be able to play as other Sonic characters again. As a huge Sonic fan, it brought so many nostalgic memories of teamwork and using stuff like the cannons to fire myself to places. Now let's move on to some comments I felt were very misleading, like claiming that Sonic fans can't make up their mind on the difficulty, and to that I say a huge cap. I personally never said Sonic Frontiers was too difficult if it was done right, but in my honest opinion, it wasn't done correctly, and it was unbalanced and inconsistent at times. There is a difference. And for those claiming that my opinion is invalid because it was free, get out of here. I'm not even gonna address you. Like, that is the stupidest thing I ever heard. Just because something is free does not mean it's excluded from criticism. I stand by what I said, but I hope I made it more clear that I don't hate Sonic Frontiers. It has a huge potential for this series, with some moments where I thought that they overcooked a little. That is all. Thanks for watching.